So, XRP, one of the more divisive coins around there. It might not want to scan your eyeball like WorldCoin, but it's got a lot of hate over the years. Maybe because it's corporate coin aimed at the banks. But also there's incidents like co-founder Chris Larson funding the construction of one of the coolest pieces of art, a giant skull built by Greenpeace specifically to baselessly fund Bitcoin over energy use. Chris. The thing is, that skull looked damn cool though, and evidently didn't dissuade Bitcoin buyers. In fact, they ended up giving it to the Bitcoin Museum. Thanks, Brad. Calling for crypto unity. Well, there's no lost love here between Bitcoiners and Ripple. But all that aside though, Ripple is a big player in the crypto world and it's pretty hard to ignore. XRP has a market cap of $127 billion while sitting at 44% off token all-time high prices. And while that's basically not that crazy in crypto, there's been a non-stop flow of major news. So let's dive into the biggest developments, what they mean for the future of Ripple Labs and the XRP token. First off, let's talk about XRP Corporate Treasuries. It's happening, guys. First of all, we've got a whole bunch of companies deciding to make share offerings for the sole purpose of raising capital to buy XRP as a corporate treasury asset. That's crazy. This kind of play started, of course, Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin at MicroStrategy. Then other companies followed the same path with Bitcoin. Now there are firms doing the same, but with Solana, Ethereum, and yes, XRP. On the XRP front, so far, we have a company called Vivo Power, a Chinese startup called Weebus, and a hosting services firm called Hyperscale Data, all announcing plans to buy XRP. We're talking almost $1 billion in buy pressure between the three of these here, which follows on from a similar announcement earlier this month by a pharma distributor called Wellgistics Health. Huge amounts of money about to come into XRP. And billions from corporate buys into something like XRP has a much bigger impact, because remember, we only have about $100 billion, let's say, round it down a little bit, $120 billion, whatever, market cap right now for XRP, versus $2 trillion for Bitcoin. So a few billion in buys for XRP moves the needle a lot more than a few billion in buys for Bitcoin. You need to keep this in mind. These corporate treasury companies for XRP, Solana, and Ethereum are going to move the needle a lot more for altcoins, or for these specific altcoins, and probably more altcoins more broadly, than it does for Bitcoin. Now, before we get into the rest of this story, guys, look, this is not a drill. FEMX right now is launching a $5 million trading competition, and I want you on my team. No KYC, it's open to everyone in the world. Okay, you might need a VPN in some situations, but FEMX is available to everyone everywhere. $3 million in team prizes, $1.5 million for the best individual traders, $500,000 for the newcomer challenge. If you ever thought about stepping up your game, trading for real stakes, this is it. You can trade XRP, Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, dog coins, whatever you want. Trading starts on June 9th and goes through June 30th. You can sign up right now, join my trading squad using the link down below. The more active you are, the more likely you are to win big prizes. If you're serious about trading, serious about competing, then join me on FEMX today. This is the time. Let's trade hard, win big, take the top spot. Link down below. Go check it out. So, let's talk about the things Ripple's been buying. See, while companies have started buying XRP, Ripple Labs has for several years been buying companies with a list of major acquisitions that include crypto custody firm Standard Custody, Medico, and Fortress Trust. Most recently, this April, there was the $1.25 billion acquisition of prime brokerage giant Hidden Road. Now that last one looked literally like a very big deal, and it led to Hidden Road integrating Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD in order to link up digital and traditional assets, and of course make use of the XRP ledger. Obviously, the more successful RLUSD becomes, the more the ledger is used, the more XRP is burned out of circulation, all that fun stuff. RLUSD, by the way, rolled out at the end of 2024, and it's issued on both the Ripple ledger and the Ethereum blockchain. It emphasizes transparency because, according to Ripple, it's designed for institutions. Then at the end of May, Hidden Road launched OTC cash-settled swaps on crypto assets for its U.S. institutional clients, which, by the way, if it's OTC and cash settled, means that transactions to acquire assets can take place quietly behind the scenes. Interestingly, Austin King, who sold a startup called Strata Labs to Ripple back in 2019, said after the Hidden Road acquisition that Ripple Labs is actually pursuing a soft bank type strategy, meaning instead of prioritizing in-house development, Essentially what they're doing is they are continually expanding through acquisitions and investments. The tentacles of XRP go long and far, essentially. So it's clear that acquisitions are a key part of Ripple's plans here, but there's also a major shift in Ripple's relationship right now with the regulators, particularly the SEC, who's been kicking XRP holders in the balls relentlessly for years. So here's a big part of the regulatory picture. For years, Ripple has been engaged in a drawn-out, high-profile, extremely expensive legal battle with the SEC revolving around whether or not XRP is a security. This was back in the days when Gary from Goldman Sachs Gensler was running the SEC. And even though it's not really that long ago, it feels like a totally different era now with Trump at the helm. And he's brought in a pro-crypto administration and a pro-crypto SEC. And so with Trump shifting the regulatory environment, the SEC has accepted a Ripple settlement, and the arguments around whether or not tokens like XRP are securities, they just don't feel very relevant anymore. Okay, we've moved on. Sorry, Gary, you lost. Especially when you have the US president out here token gating official dinners with his own damn meme coin. Crazy shit. The SEC setting up a crypto task force, meetings all the time. So yeah, big things are happening. Ripple, like the rest of crypto, has the green light now, and that's good for the XRP token. There's a race on to see which coin gets its own spot ETFs after Bitcoin and Ethereum, and there are plenty in the running, but XRP is one of the most likely to get it. It's a good bet to get it. And then when it does get an ETF, again, billions of inflows to XRP have an outsized effect compared to Bitcoin. The SEC starting a formal review of Wisdom Tree's filing for a fund called the Wisdom Tree XRP Trust. This is the first time the commission has performed this kind of review on a spot XRP product, and from here the process can take up to 240 days before a decision is actually made to either approve or reject. It's highly likely that the first 4 altcoin ETFs will be Solana, Dogecoin, Litecoin, and yes, XRP. All very, very high in the running to get spot ETFs. Wisdom Tree isn't the only firm looking to launch an XRP fund. There's also filings from Grayscale. That one's a conversion, though, from their existing Grayscale Trust. We have Rex Osprey, CoinShares, 21 Shares, Canary, Bitwise. People want XRP spot ETFs, and they're going to effing get them. It's fair to say that in the current climate, approvals are going to be coming down the line. The only question is when, not if. Okay, now let's talk about XRP for payments. Something else to be aware of besides the XRP token that will be held by spot ETFs, when they're approved, I should say, is the Ripple payments platform itself, which, of course, the OG use case, isn't it, for cross-border payments, man, and it's aimed at the big guys, right? The big crypto firms, the big payment providers, the big fintech firms, man, the big banks, boo banks. Ugh. Back in March, Ripple acquired a license from the Dubai Financial Services Authority, enabling it to provide cross-border crypto payment solutions in the UAE. Pretty cool, right? Following on from that, 2 UAE-based companies, Zand Bank, which is a digital bank, and Mamo, a fintech firm, they have both partnered with Ripple to use the Ripple payment system and therefore the XRP ledger. That means real-world adoption of Ripple's tech outside just Web3 standard stuff, right? Outside of the crypto bubble. Also, we had big news out of the UAE that shit tons of real estate's about to get tokenized on the XRP ledger as well. We're seeing more and more use cases coming out all the time. Real world assets are coming to the XRP ledger, and it could be massive to get new users, new use cases, and new things happening. Stable coins and fiat are all integrated in order here, of course, to speed up those cross-border payments. So now imagine some dude in, I don't know, the Philippines can, in a second, invest in real estate in Dubai. It's crazy. It's a long way from Bitcoin's ambition to offer a complete alternative to the financial system and to separate money and state. Yeah, absolutely. That's never what XRP has been about. Ripple was never meant to compete with Bitcoin. It's operating from a different mindset towards different goals, building a better financial system compared to the SWIFT system and all that kind of stuff. And they want the XRP ledger to be right at the center of that. And speaking of different goals, Ripple also operates a private blockchain distinct from the XRP public ledger blockchain. This private blockchain is more aimed at financial entities and stuff that require more privacy than a public ledger is going to give them, and therefore it can be used for stuff like CBDCs. Boo. In fact, Ripple launched a CBDC platform back in 2023, all of which again is about as far away from the mission of Bitcoin, the ethos of Bitcoin as you can possibly get. But maybe you don't care about that shit. A lot of people don't. They look at XRP and go, shit, this is going to be the coin for CBDCs. Buy. Not me, but a lot of people. I like trading XRP. It's got great charts. Good coin to trade. I don't own any XRP, but obviously you can't ignore it anymore, can you? This all reinforces the idea that Ripple has a lot of moving parts. The XRP ledger is definitely worth paying attention to. And in the end, it's very closely aligned with legacy financial institutions and central banks and all that kind of stuff. And everything they're building, years and years of effort, is really starting to shine through right now. So Ripple XRP token in 2025 has some very interesting catalysts pushing it. Thanks for watching.